Go live there. So we're live.
YouTube.
I think it's pretty impressive how I transitioned into two different things pretty quickly.
Well, we got on and we were like, "What? Who's this other person on this?"
I think I deserve an applause of some kind, but
I mean, Kevin could probably do his intro while you're getting it ready to go.
Almost done. Hopefully it fits. It's always the fun part. But yeah, we can go, Kev.
we are live. Well, they stole Markstrom, they stole Levo, they stole Bakers, they stole they stole everything basically. They stole jerseys, even jersey colors. They've been accused of that. They stole the North Shore, Mount Seymour, BC Place, whole bunch of things. But we're going to talk about Calgary.
I don't know why they're trying to steal mountains. We got better ones here.
Well, that's a smack we can get into, but we're talking about the Calgary Flames today, mostly. We'll get into the Vancouver Canucks as well on the Hockey Podcast. Welcome. Of course, you can follow us on podcast_hockey. We've got subscribe on wherever you get your podcasts. You can watch, you're watching Facebook Live or YouTube, and the audio will be up on a Spreaker a little bit later, and etc., etc., etc. Sean and Heidi are here. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Kevin. How are you?
I'm moving quickly. I bear with me. I'm doing a school assignment as well, so I had to finish that interview, then hop on here, transition. It took a minute? I observe how transitionally quick that was. And then but we have a guest.
Yeah, we do. We've got an old friend of mine. We grew up playing hockey together, and he now works for the Flames in their digital content department and digital content and entertainment department. Andy Stachiw.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, Andy. It's been a while since we've been able to actually see each other and talk, but it's awesome to have you on and to be able to probe your mind and find out what it was like in the bubble and other behind the scenes fun stuff.
For sure. Yeah, thanks for having me on. This is awesome.
Yeah, I guess let's go back. What was it like in the bubble? Tell us about the bubble.
Yeah, it was funny. The time went by faster than you think it would, because every day was almost kind of like Groundhog Day. It was either a practice day or a game day, and you just kind of flop between the two type thing. Unfortunately, there wasn't a whole lot to do there. Now, I don't know if you guys know this, but Edmonton was technically the third choice to host the West. We were always going to Vegas until their cases got too high and the NHLPA stepped in and said they didn't want to go there. Then Vancouver was the second choice, but the BC government said if we got one positive test, they were going to shut us down, which of course they couldn't take the chance. However, they never got a positive test, so it wouldn't have mattered anyways. So Edmonton was given 18 days notice to let them know that they were the city that was chosen. And they did an admirable job putting it all together, all things considered. But considering the layout of that city outside of their very nice new arena, their downtown really isn't built properly to kind of host kind of what the bubble was in a sense. So they didn't have what Toronto had, which was a lot of outdoor space, a lot of free roaming and stuff like that, right? We were in 3 hotels basically with fencing kind of to walk in between the hotels, kind of like almost like mice in a cage or rats in a cage or whatever you want to call it. And the only real outside space we had was a big concrete slab in front of the arena. So outside of going to the 5 or 6 restaurants we had access to and to the gym and in the arena, like there wasn't really a whole lot to do. They were slowly adding stuff while I was there. But yeah, I mean, it was kind of weird. It was kind of weird. But it was very fun.
Just hold on. You said Vegas was number 1.
Yeah.
And Vancouver was number 2. How did Toronto, where was Toronto in all of this?
So Toronto was always going to be the East hub. That was always that's why Toronto, if you ever saw any of the content that any of the teams produced from out there of the guys playing like spike ball out at BMO Field and stuff like that, it's because it was all pre-planned. Like they were given like a 2-month heads up notice that they were ready to go. Like we were so close to going to Vegas. They had the hotels booked. They had actually rehired staff. Like they pulled the plug, like I said, like basically just over 2 weeks out from us going. So it was, which I mean, stinks in the sense that we knew Vegas would probably have been better too, because obviously being an entertainment city, they would have been more suitable to host it. But I mean, everyone in Edmonton was so nice. All the staff was amazing. The one thing we were always worried about in the bubble is that the way it was working is that we all stayed obviously within the bubble, but hotel staff could leave every day, right? They could go home and stuff like that. And you basically put your trust in their hands that they weren't going to come in and bring it in. And that's what we always said. Like, we always felt like if it gets in here, it's going to be because one of the staff workers or one of the restaurant workers is going to bring it in. And no one ever did, which is amazing. They still had to test every day, just like we did. But I mean, they had a lot more responsibility on their part and they succeeded as well. So that's huge.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was a little challenging from my side. We had some stuff sold with sponsorship and stuff like that. And it was sometimes a little hard to get content because our guys loved it. They loved being around each other the whole time, but they were also kind of bored. Like, they do practice, they'd have fun, they'd be jokey and stuff. And then they just come back to the hotel and they'd all, crash in someone's room and play video games or they go back to the rink and watch whatever game was on that day. Right. Like, that's really the only couple things they started to do. Unfortunately, one of the last things we got to do before we were eliminated and left is they opened up Commonwealth Stadium to us, but we had a bus there. But we did get to go one of the nights there, and it was phenomenal. And we were all excited that was going to be something that was going to continue to happen moving forward. And unfortunately, that was the only time we got to go. So.
Heidi?
I was gonna say, so what did you do to kind of if you got bored, were you also playing video games or?
Yeah. I brought my PlayStation. I brought my Nintendo Switch. We didn't have access to the gym for the first 5 days, I believe it was. That's the way they kind of made the agreement with the government of Alberta, was that we kind of had like a very tight, like almost like within the bubble 5-day quarantine where you couldn't do anything but see the people from your team type thing. Like practices and meals were all to be like, the restaurants weren't open yet, all that kind of stuff. And after 5 days, they kind of relaxed that and the gym's open and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I tried to be as social as I could. If anybody was meeting up for a beer, I would try and meet up with them and stuff like that. Just anything to kind of just keep the day moving and stuff like that. Right. So, and I mean, I was busy too with work. I mean, I was shooting stuff every day and editing every day, basically. So yeah.
Yeah, it looks like they did a really good job at like trying to make it feel like home. I think I saw that you got like pictures of all your family, and I know that most of the players and all the staff got that as well. So
yeah, we certainly did. We also got some nice video messages too, some celebrity ones and some from our family as well. Just before the first round there against Winnipeg started and stuff, it was really nice. And I know they had plans to do more stuff had we gone further and such, but Fortunately, we didn't. So yeah, I mean, they always had good plans. It was interesting. I don't know how many of the wives or girlfriends or what have you would have come if we had made it all the way to the Western Finals, because the way the NHL they were allowing it, right? But there were so many rules in place about them coming. Like, we were told that they would have had to basically quarantine for a couple of days in Calgary. After they couldn't fly into Edmonton, they would have to fly into Calgary, quarantine a couple of days in Calgary, then get themselves up to Edmonton by bus or by car or whatever, and then would have had to do the same like 4 or 5 day quarantine within the bubble, right? So they were really like, the NHL was allowing people to come in, but they weren't really, they were making it as tough as possible to try and deter people from doing that. So
was the schedule locked in during this, or was there room for change? Like, because one of the things that we were talking a lot about was how, like, as an example, the Canucks finished that round. They finished game 7 of Vegas, or they finished St. Louis, and then immediately they hopped into the next series. So usually in normal times, there was like a 2 to 3 break, even a 7 game, but this got really condensed really quick. Was that something planned, or was that on the fly?
I think once they saw how successful everything was going and they weren't too worried about burnout or anything like that, because I mean, a huge part of the reason for sometimes the break in between series is because of the travel, right? And being that I traveled during the regular season as well, I can say that it takes a toll on your body, right? When you're hopping, even if you're hopping an hour in between time zones and stuff like that, you're still taking late flights. Like, sometimes we're getting into cities at 3 a.m. and stuff like that, right? It's tough. It's a really tough thing to kind of maneuver around. So with us not traveling in the bubble, obviously, and their desire to basically like continue to get it off without a hitch kind of thing, I think they just kind of pushed through. They asked the teams like right away, like, are you okay if we start right away? Yep. Everyone was all okay. They just wanted to get it done, right? Kind of thing. Like, they wanted to basically have it be successful. So that was kind of always the plan. I wasn't a huge fan of the fact that they had back-to-backs once they started eliminating. Like, I understood it in the play-in round for sure, because there were so many teams there. Like, when we first got there, it felt like kind of like summer camp, right? There were so many teams there at first. Like, it was crazy. You couldn't turn around without seeing a player or a coach or management or whatever, right? But then once it was really the first round and it was a lot more serious, I didn't really understand the idea behind doing back-to-backs at that point, because I thought it kind of took away from some of the competitive edge here and there. Again, I think they did it simply because they just wanted to get through everything as quickly as they could, kind of thing, without serious repercussions or anything.
Right.
And truthfully too, like, with our games, we were sometimes finding out, like, we were told a couple of different scenarios. It's like, okay, if this team wins and you lose, then you play at this time. If you win and this team loses, then you play at this time, right? Like, after the initial first 4 games had been announced or whatever, the rest of our games were always up in the air in terms of when we would play them and stuff like that. So, and unfortunately, we got that terrible 8:30 time slot, like 4 or 5 times. It was awful. Can't tell you. It's you wait all day for those games. Everyone's so hyped up because they're playoff games and excited, and you just wait and wait and wait and wait. Oh, it was hated that.
Yeah. As being a fan, I also didn't appreciate that.
Well,
those 8:30 games in the middle of the week too. Like, I'm still working a job where I start at 8 a.m. and it's like those are late games to stay up and
you're guaranteed to be up past 11, right? So
yeah.
No, it was that was no fun for sure. And it didn't make sense to later when like there were less teams playing. Like, if another team got eliminated early, it's like, well, okay, why are we still the 8:30 time? Like, I understand a lot of that's for TV and stuff like that, but it always feels like, as you guys probably know, the West always seems to get the short end of the stick when it comes to stuff like that, right? So
Yeah, even 7:30 here. It wasn't. I mean, it's better than 8:30, but it's not that much better.
Yeah.
Like it's still, and even if a game goes into overtime, right? And playoff overtime. So you're 10, intermissions 15, game. If it's double overtime, it's after 11, which is after 12 in Calgary. I mean, that's.
Oh. Well, and we had what game was that? We had one game. The Canucks beat St. Louis in overtime. Did it go to a second overtime? I want to say it did, right? And we were playing the 8:30 game after, and our game got pushed slightly.
I think so, yeah.
Because of that. So I think we even had like an 8:45 or 9:15 puck drop that night. Like it was just like, holy smokes.
Yes, I remember that night because, of course, in our household, it's like we had to wait for one game over to watch the next one, and I was getting upset that the Canucks couldn't finish the frickin' game so that I could watch mine.
Oh, we're all sitting. So it's funny. We had Edmonton's locker room. So that was the other kind of interesting thing about the bubble. Like Edmonton being the arena chosen was great because it was a new arena. They had tons of space, really well built building. And so we would swap locker rooms, right? In between practices and games and stuff like that. So that game in particular, we were in Edmonton's locker room. So we were in the back part, and like, I think there was like 15 of us all like huddled together watching it on the TV, just waiting. Are we going to because we're all getting nervous because of the 5 OT game that led off the playoffs, right? With Columbus and Tampa there. So we were all sitting there like, oh no, are we going to get pushed, right? Because immediately, like, I think if it would gone to a third overtime, we would have probably pushed the game, right? It would have been too late for us to start because there was also a sanitation process where I think they had to wait an hour or 65 minutes after the game finished. And like a clock would start, like a specialized clock that was in the back there that would start as a timer, as a countdown before we could even go anywhere near the benches type thing. So.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then as Heidi said, was wanting to know, like, before all this happened, I definitely enjoyed watching you travel around North America with the Flames and everything, and finding out what you got up to and all that. What's your favorite city to visit and when you go traveling?
That's a good question. It's cool now because I've finally been everywhere. When my kids were younger, it was harder to go out east because our out east trips generally are like 5-6 games maybe, because smartly enough, they try and plan it so that you're going out there and you're playing a large amount of teams because you're traveling 4 or 5 hours to get there, right? And plus the time zone change and everything, it's just easier to stack a bunch of games. But I've been in enough places now that, you start to kind of find places that you like and places that you like to visit every time, as long as you can kind of make it fit. It doesn't always work, obviously. I really like Tampa. Tampa's really nice. Generally, we hit Tampa in like February when the weather is really bad in Calgary. So it's kind of nice to go down there, and it's like in the low 20s. It just feels like this beautiful, nice little break. I've always been partial to California as well for almost the exact same reason. We're right downtown in LA. And so it's easy to, if we have a day off there, which we generally do a lot of the times, it's easy to get to the beach and stuff like that. So that's really fun. But I would say probably the city that it's easiest to have fun in is Nashville. Nashville it's something else. I mean, if you've never been, I highly recommend it, especially if you love live music. There's strips of bars where you can just pop into every single place and hear excellent live music. And that's the thing, like there's always something going on there, but it doesn't feel like commercialized like Vegas does. I like Vegas. Vegas is fun. It's fun. I've added that to the roster now, but I find Nashville is like a lot more homey, right? Like it's a lot more friendly people and stuff like that. And it's a fun city to visit, and their passion for hockey has exploded in the years that even I've been kind of going to games. Like, we used to get a Tuesday night game there and it'd be like half full. Now it doesn't matter what night of the week we play there. It is packed and loud and fun. So. Yeah.
So I asked Tori this because Tori would always tweet about food.
Yeah.
You were probably taking a lot of those food pictures of her eating
Yes.
them.
Yeah.
So what arena has the best food?
Oh, that's a bit difficult. Tampa used to actually have the best. They kind of scaled it back a little bit. It's not nearly as good as it used to be. Surprisingly, Buffalo has really good food. And so like I'm basing this more off like kind of like our media meal, right? Like the food that we get served and stuff like that. Buffalo has this like amazing buffet that just seems to have like a little bit of everything. So not a lot of teams kind of do that anymore. I think with like a lot of people writing from home and stuff like that, it seems like they don't put on the bells and whistles and stuff like that anymore. Always love Montreal though. Montreal has the whistle dogs that you can get up in the press box with like the toasted grilled piece of bread. Oh my goodness, those things are like deadly. I actually like plan my meal that day around eating like 4 of those during the game. And like I never do that really anywhere else. So, but the other crazy one is Chicago. So Chicago, we get, you know, our full like media meal 2 hours before the game and whatever, and it's usually pretty good. And then in the second intermission upstairs in the press box, they bring another full meal out. Like, and it's a completely different meal than like, it's crazy. And we're like, we don't understand why they do that because almost everyone that's already eaten 2 hours previous is eating again. And I'm like, I can't eat again. Like, this is crazy. So their hospitality there is top notch.
So you stay well fed there.
Yes. Yeah. The secret nickname for the NHL is the Never Hungry League because there's always food everywhere. So.
Yeah. And what's your favorite thing to have at the Saddledome?
Favorite thing to have at the Saddledome? I am very partial to the malts. I really like the chocolate malts. They're quite delicious, and I only ever get them like I go to games. So I don't ever eat them when I'm like downstairs working or whatever at my computer because that would just be an awful combination of eating that 40 times a year. So, but no, I love the malts at the Dome.
How often though do you say that? So how often do you actually just get to go and actually watch a game and not have to actually be working at it?
I attend maybe 2 or 3 a year. It's usually not many. Obviously I have to book it off and make sure that it kind of works for everyone. And like this upcoming season, I doubt I'll be able to go to any because I'll probably have to work all of them because we're going to have to really cut back on. So for like game nights, we most of us that are full-time work the games, but then we also have to bring in part-time staff because there's just not enough of us for all the positions that we need. And in this upcoming season, we're going to have to really cut down on our part-time budget. I've already been kind of given that heads up. So it's just kind of like, just so you know, you'll probably end up working pretty much every home game we have, depending on how many that is, right? If it's a 64 game schedule, if it's a 72 game schedule, whatever it ends up being. So.
Yeah, certainly up in the air.
Yeah, big time. Unfortunately, I can't really lend any insight to that because we honestly don't like the NHL is playing it super close to the vest right now.
And they should actually. I don't disagree with them doing that at all at this particular point. I think saying, I mean, with the way that things are going and sort of the backlash in some provinces of how things are going, I think making statements about what we're going to do for COVID is right now, I think would just face backlash for the NHL. In my opinion, it's sort of a PR thing. I think one of the things that I felt the NHL did really well, and you can certainly disagree with me, Andy, is waiting until it was safe to do so to announce that we're going to.
Yeah, no, and I'm totally fine with it. The only problem it gets tricky is obviously with us trying to kind of plan out our lives, right? Type thing. It's a little difficult when even people that are closest to it don't really have a solid idea. I know in talking to our travel coordinator, Sean O'Brien, he was saying like, he was busy for a while getting stuff together and helping get guys back. And we do have a decent amount of guys kind of back in the city because they wanted to be quarantined here and ready to go just in case the NHL let them know, hey, like we're going to start sooner rather than later, right? But he said it's getting frustrating now not knowing what the next steps are, right? Because for him, it's all going to get dropped in his lap like last minute, and then he's going to be booking hotels and whatever. Now, I mean, as you guys know and probably talked about, we're more than less likely going to start with that Canadian division idea. So my gut feeling is that the NHL will come up with basically multiple versions of the schedule. They'll start with 1/3 of the schedule being set in stone to a certain point where they hope that the border restrictions are kind of taken off, and then they'll have 2 different versions of the schedule from there, which is, you know, scenario A, we can play the US teams and play more of the teams in our actual division. Scenario B, we'll have to stay pretty much in Canada the whole time, right? So
yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking is they're doing, and for that exact reason, the border and not knowing what's going to happen there, whether or not this rapid testing in the Calgary airport and I think Toronto as well, it works, and it works well enough that you can loosen the border up enough to allow them to do that. And then we got introduced to the new jerseys this week with the return of Blasty.
Let me just move over and
yes, I could see that back there.
Yeah,
I'm excited. I know some people were like, I mean, the fans themselves seem very excited about it. I'm excited about it. It's kind of neat to see something that was like so reviled while it was like being worn at the time, kind of have that nostalgic feel, and then come back and everyone's really super pumped about it. I mean, and truthfully too, it's kind of hard not to look back on it and realize that a lot of us wearing that was in like some of the darkest days of the franchise. So I think a lot of people kind of associate that, or at first associated that symbol and stuff with how bad the team was at the time. But yeah, no, I'm excited. I'm excited with it coming back. I think this program that the NHL kind of came up with, it's fun. And I think it's something the league needs to do more often. Because I mean, it's tough to produce hockey jerseys because of how much material is needed in them versus basketball and football and baseball and all that kind of stuff. But I find the NHL just doesn't take advantage of that sort of stuff enough. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think teams need to wear 7 different jerseys a year like they do in basketball. But I mean, having a couple different ones to sell and market and have fun with, I mean, that's cool. That's another side of sports. And I mean, there are guys, I work with a guy that is a jersey collector, right? That's a viable thing. People love jerseys. So it's cool.
So do you have any that you can point out from other teams that you either really love or really hate, or?
Oh, for the ones that were released?
Yeah.
You know, I wish the Oilers had done something kind of more fun. It feels like they just wore that jersey like 2 years ago. So it's like they literally just brought back a jersey that they had just worn. I'm not a huge fan of the color scheme on Winnipeg's. It seems weird. Like I love that retro symbol for them, but it's weird that they go with like grayscale. Like it was just, that was kind of a bizarre decision.
I wondered if it was a little bit of a Thrashers tribute.
Yeah, maybe that kind of actually makes a little bit more sense too. Yeah, with the lighter blue, that totally makes sense. And you know what? I like the design of using that 70s style Toronto look, like sleeve, but I really hate that symbol, that version of the Maple Leaf symbol. I hate it. I hate that. It just doesn't look good.
Yeah.
It just doesn't seem well designed at all. Like, so I don't like, in terms of ones I like, I really, really like Montreal's. I think it's sharp. I'm
the only one that doesn't like that. I'm actually not of it, but go ahead.
I like Ottawa's. I'm super pumped that Ottawa's going back to their old logo, because I also very much dislike their weird 3D faced guy looking ahead. So their old logo is much better. Kind of hard to mess with like the classic teams. I like Boston's. Boston's is really nice, sharp. The Washington one's really cool too. using that retro Capitals, like the 90s logo with their current colors and stuff like that. That's neat. That's a good idea. I don't mind the Anaheim one, even though it's a jokey one. I'm happy that they didn't go with their current color scheme on it, because I was happy when they brought back the Mighty Duck logo as like their third, but then when they messed it up by using like their weird orange and black and colors, I think it didn't look nearly as good. So, yeah. I mean, Hartford is awesome.
That's great.
That's fantastic. And I was shocked that Colorado did the full Nordique.
I think we all were.
Yeah.
Like shocked.
Right. Yeah, that shocked me too.
I thought they would throw. I thought they have some sort of like a subtle throw to it.
Well,
like when they released their preview and had the fleur de lis on the bottom. I'm like, okay,
totally.
that's
And
cool.
I thought that would be it. That was what they would do, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see what the jersey, like what like Colorado fans, like how much of those jerseys they're going to be
sold.
They're going to be sold.
Yeah. Interesting that Arizona went with their what do they call that style of art? I can't even remember off the top of my head.
But, it's the Kachina.
Yeah, there we go. The purple version of it was an interesting one to bring back.
I love that
it
one.
Pops,
I think it's fun.
It pops. Oh, yeah, for sure. And you know what? It's cool to be unique, right?
Yeah.
It pops unlike Dallas and Detroit.
Oh my God. So yeah, sorry. I can't believe I forgot Detroit in the worst one. That looks like a practice jersey. Like
I think the best I do like it, but the best tweet I saw about it is it looks like someone just missed their homework assignment and just needed to
like you hear so I'm good friends with our retail manager, and he actually is the one that comes up with the jersey decisions and stuff like that, and helps design things and all that. To know that this had been in the works for well over a year, and it's like, so Detroit was working on that for a year? I don't know. No, you know what? I saw someone do a concept of a slightly better version of it, and they used their, the script of the Detroit script.
Yeah.
And then had the spinning wheel as the shoulder patch. And I was like, why didn't they just do that? It would have been way better.
Yeah, that was actually an interesting thing that I saw, like kind of just in the, like on just kind of hockey Twitter and stuff like that. The amount of leading up to this, how many like concept jersey, like how many people were spending so much time doing this concept jersey. I know with the cat was out of the bag, I think, for the Blasty jersey. Like the Flames community kind of knew. I don't know if I don't know if it was an actual leak or just like we just kind of figured. But like the concept with that Blasty logo there was like switching the colors of it, like switching where the yellows and the reds were, and just I
didn't mind. I saw someone did a retro concept with like the retro one behind you with the Kachuk there, and I didn't mind that one. That one looked pretty neat. That would have been an way to go with it. I think we were always in love with having a black jersey come back.
Yeah, I wanted a black jersey as well. So that's
the only thing that I wish we had done on ours slightly different. Instead of having, and I know that it's more in line with the traditional Blasty jersey, having the C's as the shoulder patches, is I wish they had brought back our one-off shoulder patch that they put on the Calgary script logo jersey from a couple years ago. So if you guys remember, it was the one that was scripted Calgary written with like the small black C. And it had a lot of cool touches in it. Like it had in the collar, it had the Rocky Mountains and stuff like that. It had the tie up and stuff like that. But the most unique part about it is it had this really cool shoulder patch that was a circle with the mountains, and like C and F were kind of hidden in it.
Yeah.
And I think it was actually incredibly well designed, and it's only ever appeared on that jersey. And a lot of people were like, I hope they bring it back on their retro rewind jersey. And I think they probably could have, because the color scheme would have matched, but oh well.
It's something that maybe they'll do for another jersey. Like I know we've talked about maybe the NHL doing a little bit more kind of third and special edition kind of jerseys now for sure. So it's funny you mentioned that like obviously this was something that was in the works for this reverse retro concept to come out with all these jerseys and stuff. It just seems very interesting with the times now of the fact that like it comes out when we don't have hockey, and it almost seems like it's a way for the teams to actually be making a little bit of money that they're not making on ticket sales right now.
Yeah. Honestly, it's kind of a good boost for the league. I wish that they'd had kind of more concrete stuff, like announcing kind of a targeted start date, a more firm targeted start date along with this, just because it felt like they had a lot of momentum at the beginning of the week by unveiling all these and kind of getting them out in the public and stuff like that. But I know from our standpoint, I mean, it's awesome. We need to, just like many other teams, start pulling in some form of revenue, and this is really the only way we can do it right now. So I mean, it's a good time in terms of the teams to launch it, like you said, but just kind of weird that it's launching and there is no hockey to watch these jerseys be played in, right? So
it is, I mean, but it is Christmas, right? So like I'm sure that was the plan around this date, was the fact that it is Christmas and they need to get bought. I think what I had saw is that they're not guaranteeing if you're getting your jersey customized, it might not be ready for Christmas, but
well, we don't get ours until December 1st, right? So you're already cutting it pretty tight there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And especially if you're getting it customized beyond the current team, right? Like if you're going for like getting a retro player on it, like Iggy or Kipper or Valerie Bure, if you wanted to, right? There's a good chance you're probably not getting that before Christmas, I would think.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I might actually. I do.
Yeah, so
I hope that they do get Jerome McGinley in that jersey, because I don't know if a lot of people realize that was the jersey he scored his first 50-goal season in.
That's right. In Chicago. Yeah, it was the absolute rocket of a goal coming down the wing and just slapping it above. I want to say it was Hue at the time. Feels like that would have been his era of being in Chicago. It's tough, man. Chicago was just like us in the early 2000s. They were awful, and they had the rotating door of goalies and players, and but I mean, they figured it out, obviously.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I'm just looking at the time, Andy, and seeing that like you might have to disappear soon. But do you have just to wrap up? Do you have anything I don't know, exciting that you could tell us about what's kind of coming up with the team, or something that you're up to?
Nothing crazy exciting yet. We're just slowly kind of getting our concepts together. We're trying to basically build our season stuff without really building anything new, if you know what I'm saying. Like, it's tough. We're repurposing a lot of stuff. So unfortunately, if we do have fans of the games, you'll probably see a lot of stuff you saw last year, which isn't as exciting to us for right now. We will try and build new stuff as it comes along, but it's been so weird working remotely and all that kind of stuff. And you know, like I work 3 days a week right now, which is great. But it's been difficult to try and build new things, right? So we're doing our best. We've got minor ideas, and hopefully, like I said, we get a more concrete start date, and hopefully we have some form of fans in the building. We have plans for 20, 40, 60%, depending on what we're allowed to do. I guess we'll just see. We'll see where COVID cases are and everything like that. Obviously, it will very much depend on that kind of thing. Because we want everyone to be safe and feel safe and want to come cheer for the team when they can. So yeah, just hoping for some good news sometime soon.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we all could use some of that for sure. Thanks for taking the time. And again, I'm sorry
no problem.
Late. It's my fault.
Good.
Yeah, we'll have you on again, Andy. We'll hopefully have you on to talk actual on ice hockey stuff.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Talking actual hockey would be fun.
Yeah.
We have
thanks, guys.
Questions here for sure. Thanks, man.
Appreciate
thanks,
it.
Andy. Bye.
That was Andy.
Yeah, like I said, him and I grew up playing hockey together, and it's fun to see where he's gone and see him be able to not necessarily play hockey, but work in the industry and just live vicariously through him at times.
I admire I admire a lot of these people working in content now, because it is hard to come up with content consistently at this particular point in time for the NHL.
Yeah, as somebody who used to work in marketing and social media, like I can't imagine what it's like just trying to kind of keep up with stuff, at least with like this reverse retro jersey thing. Like at least there's some content out there, but like it's funny because even the stuff that's coming out of the Flames, it's a lot of like like highlights from different players and really good goals from the past couple of years and things like that. And like they're nice to watch, but like it's making me miss being able to watch the actual game. Even I was reminded today that it would have been the Grey Cup weekend this weekend too. So.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, it's a tough weekend if you're looking into what you're missing out in sports. You're getting in right into the meat of the schedule for NHL. You'd be starting to prep for World Juniors, and we got a little. We'll get to see a little bit more of that starting next week now that they've started their month-long camp, and then we're. Not having CFL and the Grey Cup is tough, and hopefully they are back. They released their schedule this week for next year, and hopefully in a year's time we're getting ready for some all the Grey Cup parties and all that, and hopefully it's Stampeders in the Grey Cup next year.
Yes, I do agree with that.
The Stampeders being a thing that like at least me and Sean agree on. The team that we actually both support, so I'm definitely missing that.
Yeah, the CFL has been like so many have been hit a lot about things too. So before. We haven't had a chance to do this. I almost came up with a voicer. It's going to sound like this, so I'm going to do this now. Beer, 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 beer. So what are you drinking?
I am drinking the Reservoir Pigs Pilsner from Village Brewery here in Calgary, brewed in collab with the Pig and Duke Pub and Give a Mile, the Give a Mile Foundation. It is it was a fundraising beer for people who don't know what Give a Mile is. You provide they collect all your Aeroplan and Air Miles to help with people to go travel to see their family in palliative care when they wouldn't normally be able to afford to. It's a great cause. The Pig and Duke is one of their biggest supporters. In non-COVID times, they host 3, 4, 5 fundraisers a year at the Pig and Duke on 4th and 12th to help support them. But because of COVID, they decided to make this beer instead, and it allows all the proceeds from that go towards helping Give a Mile provide that service to those people who wouldn't normally be able to go and visit their family members who are terminally ill. So luckily, they're able to help. The Pig and Duke is able to help in this way. They launched the beer back in August, and I went to the Pig and Duke with a few friends and managed to win the prize pack. So I got some of it yesterday, and definitely enjoying it. It's a really nice crisp Pilsner. It's a little on the malty side, which I quite like. Adds a little different twist to most Pilsners. But it's a great beer for a great cause with 3 amazing companies.
And I gotta give a shout out to Give a Mile as well. That's actually how I started spending more time at the Pig and Duke, is because I actually used to do Give a Mile's social media, and I used to volunteer a lot with their events and stuff. I haven't been doing as much, but I used to at least volunteer at their the Stampede breakfasts that the Pig and Duke would put on every year. So yeah, just an amazing organization, just like all volunteer ran. Yeah, just cannot say enough good things about them, and definitely cannot say enough good things about what the Pig and Duke and especially the Loudons do for that organization. And then for me, I am drinking the Hop Sprite Kettle Sour, which is a collab between OT Brewing and which we mention here all the time, and Old Beautiful. So we know, like obviously we know Ryan from OT. I've met Kevin, who brews at Old Beautiful as well. Two amazing brewers made this beer together. I love sours. It's delicious. I think it's going to be a special run, so I think once it's gone, it's gone. But it's honestly one of the best sours that I've had. It's not too sour. It's not too sweet. It's great, and might have to get some more.
Yeah, you might have one that Andy canned too. Andy helped Ryan can that.
Yeah.
OT being a small brewery, if you know many small breweries, they rely, a lot of the time they rely on people coming in and helping out whenever they can. So like Andy said, he's working 3 days a week, so he's looking for stuff to help him out and pass the time at certain times. So he's been able to go help Ryan out can a few things. So, and that's a beer that Andy quite likes as well. So it is a very, very crushable sour.
Nice.
Yeah, it's perfect. It's perfect for noon podcasting.
I'm drinking. We're not giving him any credit, but I'm drinking coffee.
We forgive you, Kevin.
What's that?
So we forgive you.
Well, it's I'm still going dry, so and I started. It's 11. Well, it's 12 now here. I guess I could start drinking.
I'm almost more tempted to send you a coffee pot so that you can just make your own coffee.
Oh, it doesn't taste as good as someone else makes it, though. That's the problem.
Oh boy.
This is a whole nother topic that we
that's a rabbit hole we could get into, and we don't have the time today. You on Monday, Kevin, released your rankings and all that for the
yes. Let's get into this.
Yeah. So
I do have a question for everyone though. Yeah. Is there one jersey that gained as the week went on? You're like, actually, this isn't as bad as I thought. And is there a jersey that you went, yeah, this is actually worse than I thought?
Oh, I think I have one because I just did mine this morning. Like I had thoughts about it. I would say that I actually initially liked St. Louis's jersey more than I do now. Like I like the idea of them having it red, but I wish they would have put that horn thing as the actual logo. I thought that would have been cool. I don't know if Sean or somebody can actually pull up my list, but
we have.
I think honestly, my second favorite jersey, and I didn't think that it would be it, but I think my second favorite jersey, obviously past the Blasty one, is I actually really like the Kings logo, the Kings jersey. I wasn't a huge fan of that logo on the gray and white jersey, and I didn't necessarily always like the logo that they used to have on the yellow and purple jersey, but the combination of that jersey color and then that logo, I really like that. I don't know why I seem to have a thing for liking purple jerseys, because I also like the Coyotes purple one. So
yeah, well, yours is up being shared right now.
Being shared with me, so maybe I can just kind of go through my my list for anybody who's seeing this visually. So if not, I'll try to explain it with words. So I have a couple categories. So at the top is I have it saying "feck yeah," ladies don't swear on podcasts. So obviously I have Blasty there, and the Coyotes and the Kings, as I just mentioned. For the ones I've categorized as cool, the Anaheim, Buffalo, Carolina, the one from Vancouver. I'm sure we will have. I know there's been discussion about whether the Orca, not the Orca. I'm so glad that Vancouver did not go with that ugly blue maroon stuff. I have never liked that from Vancouver. And then also under that cool category, I have the Montreal, the Rangers, Capitals. I like Vegas's. I wish Vegas would have did more, but I just like it as a jersey. The Colorado Avalanche and the Panthers one. That Panthers one just feels very like nostalgic, and I like that. Under the meh. Columbus is just okay. I wish I could have gave that Jets jersey more than meh, because I really love that logo. My family is all from Manitoba. I'm pretty sure there's this old Jets stuff like kicking around in our family stuff somewhere with that logo. I just don't like that gray. Sean was very upset to see how I put the New Jersey logo only as the jersey as meh, because he loves that jersey. I'm not a fan of it being so Christmassy. And as I mentioned before with St. Louis, I wish they would have used that other logo. I thought that would have been fun. Probably controversial, but fun. And then there was just a lot that I just found boring. And I think it's just because I just didn't like the reuse of logos I've already seen that I'm used to seeing. Nashville, I could not tell the difference between the Nashville jersey and any other Nashville jersey. It's interesting because we were using this picture of the Blackhawks jersey that and this is a whole nother tangent that I can go on about the Blackhawks and why their initial PR pictures are people who are either turned to the back or turned to the side. They don't even show the logo on the picture that we're using for this logo, for this tier concept of ranking. So yeah, it's fine. It's a jersey. Boston I found kind of boring. Again, just I wish they would have used the bear. I like the bear. Islanders, they could have used the fisherman. They could have done something different with the colors. I think they used to have like a teal kind of color in some of their older jerseys that they could have done something. Detroit, obviously very boring. Oilers, boring. I think I said to Sean this morning that I wish the Oilers actually would have maybe thought about revisiting their logo from, I can't remember what year it was, but from being somebody who grew up in Oilers territory in the early 2000s, they had a logo that their color scheme was like dark blue and silver, and their logo was like gear with a drop of oil in it. I think Sean's gonna look it up for me.
That's when Doug Waite, Ryan Smith was on the team.
Yeah, I think they did. I think they had a pretty good playoff push that year. That's what I remember it from. Sens is fine. It's the Sens. The Flyers, not too much different. Pittsburgh, I just think it's just boring. Do you have the
2001 through 2007 is when they had that.
That was their third jersey.
Third jersey with the oil drop cog thing.
Yeah. I think they could have done something interesting with that concept, but whatever. I very importantly have a category that is just labeled triggered. Because like just by looking at Tampa's jersey, you're like, yeah, okay, but there is a picture release where it has, because all these jerseys have the year that they were first released in, and this jersey on the collar says Tampa 04, and well, we all know what happened in 04, and hashtag it was in. And so that jersey just kind of triggers me just for that, solely for that reason. Honestly, it's a fine jersey. It's just like I just can't love it. And then for just I just called this last category nope. And that's the Minnesota one. I like the idea of the colors, but I hate that idea that they just changed their regular logo into those North Star colors. don't like the Sharks the Sharks one. It's just their jersey put onto gray essentially. Yeah, Toronto one's bad because it's ugly, and that Dallas Stars one is probably the ugliest thing I've ever seen.
Especially when they're planning to wear white pants and white gloves.
Yeah, that's just it's too much white, and it's boring too. But Dallas, I don't know if I've mentioned this on the podcast. They released about a month or so ago a jersey that they're going to be doing that's black and like highlighter green, and I thought that was great.
Yeah, Kevin hates it. But this is
off. Yeah, well, Kevin hates puppies too. So, but yeah, I'm disappointed in that jersey from Dallas because I think that might actually be the actual worst one.
Sorry, you cut out after Kevin hates something about Kevin hating. You cut out for some reason. Yeah,
I don't know if anybody wants to question me on any of my picks there.
I think the one thing with the Leafs that I do agree with Annie, like the color scheme is fine. It's the logo that just ruined.
Yeah, it's the logo for me that
it just looks cheap.
Mm-hmm. It's the same. It's the same thing with Columbus for me. I do not like the white sleeves. It's the one, like, I like the logo. I like the red. I think it's a nice reverse of things from being blue, but the white sleeves, I think, is what ruins it for me. And then, yeah, like Heidi said, my favorite, and we can use this as a transition. My favorite is the Devils. But I'm gonna make sure that I leave on a good note. So I'm gonna start with the worst jerseys at right now, and that's all the white jerseys. You know, everyone who listens listens to me on and off the podcast know I have a thing where I think white jerseys need to be shot into the sun. And but in terms of the white jerseys, the best one, and it's not even close in my opinion, is the Buffalo Sabres. It's a great design, and if it wasn't for the fact that hockey's played on white ice, it'd be a fantastic jersey. I disagree with the hating on the Minnesota one. Again, for a white jersey, it's great. I like the whole point of this reverse retro thing, and I think this reverse retro theme, and I think gets lost, is that you're trying to be a little more creative. You're not just going right back and going to an old jersey. You're trying to create something different. And I really do like that they've gone with the North Stars colors with the Wild logo. I think it shows creativity. I just wish they went with green. I want that lighter green as the main color, and I think it would have been fantastic. Again, the Nordiques throwback for the Colorado is really nice as a throwback. But it's just white. Wild Wings, great. It's fun. Oilers, Pittsburgh are just meh, especially for white jerseys. And then Detroit and Dallas are just shoot them into the sun. I'm sorry. Way too much white. And I disagree with you, Kev, on the fact that I think that I really do like that standard Dallas Stars logo. I think it looks great. It's sharp. You don't need anything like special or spectacular for that logo. I think it works because you're playing off of the star, like the Dallas Cowboys star, the Lone Star State, and everything like that. I think it works. Then my next one is, did you even try? And yes, you could, like, if I didn't just separate all the white jerseys out, Dallas and Dallas, Pittsburgh, and Detroit all get thrown in there. But of the color jerseys, it's the Islanders and Nashville. Nothing special at all. Nothing special about these. They just do not look like there's anything there. You could have thrown Philadelphia in there, but it looks like I've got the Walmart specials because they feel like it's something. They're a knockoff brand that you would buy at Walmart. You need a little more color in the Ottawa one for me to make it feel a little bit better. I agree with Andy. I love them going back to the 2D Senators logo, but I just don't like the design of the rest of it. Flyers have had way better orange jerseys in the past, and it feels like a knockoff of those ones. We've already gone through why the Toronto one is just bad. It's the logo. I do not like the logo. The Jets one is the exact opposite. Love the logo. Why didn't you go blue? Why didn't you go blue? I would have even taken white because of the whiteout. Like that.
I might have actually accepted that as a
I would have accepted. It still would have gone in white jerseys suck, but
he might have actually been.
It probably would have been up right beside Buffalo. And then I've got don't know what to think. The Habs. It's a nice jersey. I just can't get past it's the Habs are red, white. Like red is your main color, and it looks good though. It's a sharp jersey. It pops. I really like it. I just can't get past that brain block for me on what a Habs jersey should look like. And then the Panthers one, it's one of those ones for me is where it looks sharp. It just I don't see the retro in it. And I think that's part of the debate in all this is what is retro for you? And what era do you want them to be retro for? And we can get into that when we start talking other teams. Tampa's is solid. Just again, nothing pops to me about it. Same with Boston. A lot of these original 6 ones, I think teams and jerseys, and there's only so much you can do. Everyone loves those classic looks, and there's only so much you can do with them. And I think a lot of them were overthought or underthought, or both at the same time somehow. And then same thing. No, it doesn't pop for me, the San Jose jersey. I would have preferred. I really liked their black ones they've had in multiple times in the past. I would have loved to see a playoff of that. Vegas, good jersey. I got told that it was actually the stripes on the sleeves and at the bottom of the jersey are actually a throwback to the Las Vegas Thunder, not the Wranglers, Kev. But it doesn't scream that to me, and that's why I was like, it's a good effort, but it just doesn't pop and feel retro to me. I would have loved for them to just play with those colors that the Thunder had. They're very similar to the Sharks, but teals and all that. I would have loved to see them do that. I think that would have been fun. Talked about Columbus. I love that they've gone a little bit red, but I do not like the white sleeves. It just too much of a contrast for me. Blackhawks, it just doesn't. I can't really put it in any other one other than it was a good effort, but it just doesn't pop. Same with the Rangers,
because we don't know what it looks like.
Same with the Rangers. Love the logo. I think it's fantastic. I just don't. The rest of it doesn't pop. It just doesn't scream like, oh, that's a cool jersey to me. And then going in order in terms of what I like, in terms of the nailed it categories, Washington. Really like it. That's in terms of reverse retro, this is perfect. It's you're using an old logo with current colors, and I really like it. I know Heidi wants the actual horns on it, but they're on the shoulders for St. Louis, and again, it pops. It really screams like a fun reverse retro jersey, as does Blasty. Or as I heard another name for it, Snortles the blood horse. No, Snortles the blood donkey. But again, it pops. It's sharp. I know one of the criticisms of it is the piping on the line, the stripes on the arms and the bottom of the jersey scream too much, quote unquote, Canucks. But
it just goes along with that joke about stealing things from Canucks this year. So it's fine.
And then I got the Canucks. Again, we can get into it where what is retro. I had to look it up on Wikipedia on the internet and figure out what the definition of it. And it's like 15 plus years can be considered retro. And that's from 2001. That's 19 years ago. Like that it is retro, and it may not be the retro era that you want, but it's still retro, and they've played off the gradient colors and everything. I would have preferred if they use the stick and rink logo, that it gets a lot higher on my list. It gets bumped up right up there with New Jersey, but I still understand why they're sticking with the same color scheme and logo as much as possible. The Canucks have had 5 major color scheme changes and 3 major logo changes, depending on if you consider changing the colors of the Orca, a major change throughout their history. So you don't want to mess too much with it, in my opinion, for branding and marketing purposes. Plus, I talked about it last week, how it is probably because I'm from Calgary and I see the sea of red, the whiteout, the arena in Washington as well. They really make sure that the red out there is really good as well. So I really like seeing that uniformity. So I do like that they're keeping the colors. I know a lot of people don't, but I do. I love the gray reverse retro style of Whalers. We need more Whaler stuff. I love that logo. It's great. I know Heidi loves the happy little whale on the shoulder.
Oh my gosh, they should have. I would almost consider, if I had infinite funds, if they would release a jersey with that happy little whale that is on the shoulder of that Hartford jersey. Thank you for reminding me. I almost completely forgot when I was doing this ranking. Yeah, that if they release a jersey with that whale on it, I would almost buy it. I probably would if I had the money.
Yeah. And then now I've got the 2 purple jerseys. Again, fun. They understood what the concept was. They're bringing back an older design, and Kings have the old purple jersey, and they're using their current logo on it, and it works. It pops. It's fun. And speaking of fun, you've got the Arizona Coyotes jersey with the desert on the bottom. You've got the cool coyote looking thing logo. It's fun. And then I don't know why, I've just always been partial to that the green, red, and white New Jersey New Jersey sweaters, because from the 80s, and this is a great throwback to it. We need more green more green jerseys in the NHL. Same with purple. Same with just anything other than white. I think we figured this one out. I don't like white jerseys.
And gray jerseys might be a little bit boring.
It depends on the design once you get to gray. But it pops. It's a great change up of an old jersey that makes it look and feel retro, but it's new, and I think it looks great. It's for me, it's one of my it is my favorite. Same with Heidi. If I had unlimited funds, I'd be getting one of those. It's just I just can't express how much I like how it looks, feels, and pops to my eyes.
It just reminds me of Christmas.
Fair. Okay, where's mine?
All right, come at me.
Well, let's show mine here. Let's find mine here.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I don't disagree with Sean too much. Like I don't understand why he loves that New Jersey one so much, but whatever.
It pops.
So I went dog crap, meh, awesome, sensational. So I'll start with dog crap. I just don't like this Dallas. I don't think they've ever really got. I know that I understand that the star is related to the Cowboys, and it's probably on brand to what Dallas is. I just don't like this jersey. I like my favorite Dallas Star jersey is the one that they currently have. That's sort of not the new one, but the one that they played the Flames in. Sort of that line green. That one I don't mind, but this just feels kind of meh to me. I just look at this Ducks jersey, and it just looks too messy for me to really. I just can't get into it with that. The Islanders, I'm with you, Sean. It's a really ugly jersey. They didn't make any effort.
I wouldn't say it's ugly. It's just it's boring.
Yeah,
They've got.
They should have used the fisherman.
Man, they could have even used this. Like they've got an old orange one that they could have played off of, and it would have been fine. But it got Lou Lamoriello'd. That's what happened. Sweet Lou is there.
Yeah,
and they could have used the fisherman, but then he would have had to shave his beard.
Yeah, probably exactly. The Florida one again. It's kind of boring to me. We talked about Edmonton. They could have done something else, but this is, I think, really that's probably my second worst jersey, and I don't know. And the Minnesota one just didn't pop to me at the time. I'm not a big fan of this Columbus jersey. I just think it looks too messy. I think if they would have done a different logo, I would have been okay with the red and white, but it just feels like a junior hockey jersey, not an NHL jersey to me. So that's why it doesn't work. Vegas, it's kind of growing on me a little bit, but it's not spectacular to me. I really like their current jerseys, and I imagine if there was a team that was like, we don't need a retro or anything, just leave us be, it probably was Vegas. The Jets, yeah, we talked about that. This should have been blue, not gray. I think it ruins the jersey a lot for me. Pittsburgh, it looks too much like a Boston Bruin New York Ranger combination. Nashville, the same. If there was a jersey I am growing on, it is Montreal. But my problem is that red jersey is just so awesome that the fact that you went blue for Montreal, I just felt was like sacrilege for the Montreal Canadiens. I was just like,
where you guys have both come with that, but like, I don't know. I think that jersey looks really nice that way. But...
as I said, I like it. It looks good. It pops. It's a weird brain block for me. I can't seem to get past the Habs have always been predominantly red jersey, and then they got their white jersey.
I think it's because the Habs have just never have changed.
But why would they? It's
such a great
thing too.
It's the fact that they've never changed. So now that we see this change, it seems a little jarring.
It would be like the New York Yankees coming out in black jerseys with the white NY. It would be like, what? What are you doing? No. I think with Sean's white, I think that this Bruin color needs this gold thing that the Bruins and Nashville have going on. I think that needs to leave. I've never been a big fan of that color. So that's there. San Jose, I was meh on. I like the logo. I like the sleeves. The gray just doesn't do anything for me. I wasn't super excited about Arizona. I mean, the only thing now that I look at that Coyote logo, it reminds me of that Simpson. Remember when Homer was in the desert and he was visiting with the coyote?
Yeah.
That coyote looks
that reminds me of it too. Yeah.
That being said, if you don't like the Arizona jersey, you hate fun. So you don't like puppies or fun, Kevin.
I do hate fun. That's fact. Again, the blue for the Leafs, the jersey part is great. The logo just doesn't work for me. I actually like that old white with the blue Toronto Maple Leafs logo. I think it looks really good. Like you could do that. You could do a Maple Leafs game with get the old retro Hockey Night in Canada coats and have a Leafs Canadiens game, and it just would look so good. Flyers, they've done better. I'm with you. Tampa, it's a meh. I don't mind the color scheme of the blue and the green. I think I just am not a fan of the Orca logo. I think if it was stick and rink, I would have been with Sean. It probably would have been higher up. Washington, I'm still mad. I wasn't a big fan of that retro look, but I think as a jersey, it's going to pop. Now we're going to get into some controversy. I like the Ottawa color. That's what really pops to me, is this color of the Ottawa Senators just pops to me, and I really like it. Same with the Rangers. I just like that. It just looks so sharp in that Liberty. It feels like a New York jersey. I know it looks like, people are saying it looks like homework. I have a feeling that this is going to be one of those jerseys that I think people are going to be really surprised when it looks on the ice. It's going to look a lot better.
You can't see it on the ice, Kevin. It's white on white.
But Detroit has a beautiful white. They've always had a beautiful white and red jersey, and I think that this is
because they have enough red on it. You can actually see it. There's no red on this one.
I don't know. I do love that color red, though.
I just feel like Detroit could have done more. They could have pulled something out. I don't know what, but they could have done something.
I love that Buffalo jersey. I love that Buffalo logo. I think it looks so good. Kind of looks new too. I mean, I think that now I know the two reasons why Taylor Hall is going to Buffalo. That jersey and what Andy said about the meals. Those were the two reasons. Nobody figured that out, but now I know. Really like I would have loved to see the crown back for the Kings. Not the
that's how me and you differ on that one. Like, we seem to all like that jersey, but like, yeah, I didn't like that crown jersey. I like it with this simple.
Yeah. But then you're just rehashing an old jersey at that point, right? For me, that's the whole point of this, is not to just have a retro jersey, but to have one that's a little bit different and plays off of the retro while still showing your current colors or logo or something like that. So that's why I think that's why I like the Canucks one. That's why I like the Blues, and I like the Devils. Is it's a play off of it. But it's not just going back and rehashing an old jersey.
Yeah. And then the sensational, the Avs, I think they just nailed it. I think it's perfect. They added the Avs colors with the Nordique. I think that, like, this is exactly the standard that we were looking for. They did it. New Jersey, I love that. I just think it just is. That's going to pop. When they get good too, at some point, that's going to really pop. And people are going to buy it. I really like that St. Louis color. And not only the Blasty, but just the new color scheme of the Flames. Just, I know everybody in the Canuck fan base is like, you stole the color, but the color just works with Blasty and the black. Like, it looks like a really fierce uniform. Like I'm imagining Matthew Tkachuk coming down the ice with that jersey, and he just feels more Matthew Tkachuk.
There's a picture going around that I think that even he shared, and I'm pretty sure it's not him wearing it. It's photoshopped on, but like, he looks so good in that jersey. And I think the Flames actually tweeted out that is for all customized jerseys, that is the number one seller right now with those Blasty jerseys. Is Tkachuk. I have not purchased a Blasty jersey yet. But if I would actually think about getting a second Tkachuk jersey with that on there.
Yeah. It just looks good. And if he ever wears the C, that will look special too. And it will look good on Giordano too. And I'm so glad to see the Hartford Whalers back. I think that's great. I think it's good on the Hurricanes to bring that back. Even though it's off brand for them as an organization, they're not the same organizations anymore. It's good for them to acknowledge it. And
it's the same thing with Colorado on that too.
So those are mine. And so we kind of differ a little bit.
Oh, we differ a lot, Kev.
you're the fact that you put, and like I realize that I think you guys actually ranked yours. I just threw mine into categories. I didn't actually rank mine. I honestly, you guys did yours a couple days ago. I did mine about 2 hours before the podcast. So I didn't actually like rank mine like 1 through 31, but I just threw them into categories. But I found it very interesting that you seem to actually like that Detroit one and thought it was actually a good choice.
I've always liked the white and red for Detroit. I just think it's a good color.
But there's no red, Kevin.
There's red. What do you mean there's no red?
There's only red in the logo, and that is it. Sorry, it's in the letters.
It's in the logo and the numbers, and that's it.
Yeah.
What did you think of that old white Detroit Stadium logo? They did because I thought that this was sort of a play on that. I understand why people hate it. I just don't mind it.
Like it's just they have so many good options, and they just.
Is that the one he's talking
no,
about?
Detroit Cougars, no. But you look at all of them, and it's just like they've all got like these.
They're all red and white, and they're all boring.
Well, they are, but they've got enough on the Detroit jerseys. Their sleeves are red. They've got enough red on the sleeves that it actually it contrasts enough that it's not just white, as opposed to just the white and red flying wheel, and then red numbers. Like no, I just no.
What it looks like, I think, to me is that if the NHL in general were just like, okay, so like kind of like what they do for the All-Star game every year is they have one concept and all of the teams just essentially throw their logo on it. So for this past year, it was like that gray jersey with the white stripes, and you just shove your logo on it. Like it almost seems like the Detroit was like told that they had to do a white jersey.
Mm-hmm.
So like they were just like, oh, you have to do a white jersey, and they're like, okay, so here's a full white jersey with our logo on it, and that's all they did.
It's exactly what they did. they took these the All-Star jerseys from last year and just did that.
And they took the stripes out.
They took the stripes out and just they merged all the stripes together.
Oh, okay. They made the stripes also white.
Well, they're gray.
Mm.
But
yes.
Here I found something here, but I'm trying to share it. Hang on. Let me find it here. Share screen. Because there's one with a red with a D on it that I really do like. So can't find it.
Like similar to like
it's similar. It's more red than what
I got it.
Yeah. But sorry, I'm having trouble sharing that. But I don't know. I've always been partial to the Detroit one.
Yeah, but even if you look at that, it's they still got red, and it's really old, and it's
it would have been different.
Yeah, it would have been bad. Like you've got the D on it, Kev. Mm-hmm. It's a red band across the chest with a white D. If I'm looking at this. Yeah, but now they've just got all white. Like it's just no. Like I know I'm the one that just hates white jerseys, but there's a reason for it. It's not irrational hate just because of that. It's because it just doesn't. I find it doesn't look good on the ice because the ice is white. All right, let's move off of that though, because I gave you homework, Kev.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know why you think the Orca.
It's amazing. Like I don't have homework in my regular life, so Sean added homework to my life.
Yes.
Well,
are you grading?
Last week, Kevin said that he doesn't think when he thinks of Vancouver and the Canucks, he doesn't. The Orca logo doesn't ring that to him, and I want to know why, because there's a lot of history of Orcas in Vancouver and the Pacific Northwest, all the way back through Heidi and into tourism and everything. It's woven through the history of Vancouver, the Orca is, and everything. So why does it not scream Vancouver to you? Is it because of the flying skate logo is just what you think of when you think of Canucks?
I think that looks more Canuck.
How?
I guess if I would go to St. Augustine's pub when we're allowed to go, when I'm personally feel that I am allowed to go to pubs, I would suspect to go to there, and that's a fairly hipster pub in the east side of Vancouver, and see more stick and rink. I just think with the current Canuck fan base, the stick and rink feels a bit more what the fan base identifies with, and the Orca does not. And maybe there is not a lot of education on where that Orca lays to. And you're right on the historical part. You're also right that it is a symbol of the West Coast Express, one of the best lines in Canucks history. But I also think it's part of a darker history in Canuck lore. You had the Mark Messier era, which will never go well in Vancouver. And probably, to be fair to Mark Messier, it wouldn't matter what jersey was worn. That was a disaster. You also had the Todd Bertuzzi, Stephen Moore incident was in that jersey. It was a dark time. You could argue that Vancouver may have won 2004 if Bertuzzi was in the lineup. Does that mean that as Andy said, Blasty was part of like one of the most darkest times in Flames history, but now it's brought back. But with the Blasty part, Heidi, maybe Heidi can answer this better than I can. As dark as it was for the Flames, was there a point with Blasty that we really saw a terrible moment in Flames history? Like, one of those things is like, this is what I remember. Like, I remember this disastrous incident.
Well, I think, unfortunately, as the people who listen to this podcast know, like, I was not fully into the Flames at that time, but as somebody who has become a Flames fan in the era of just having that flaming C logo, like I from as much as like I know of the history as somebody who tries to, make up for the time that I was not a Flames fan, obviously, like, I know that there is shitty times that are associated with that logo, but I think that the fans are just wanting something a little bit different. And there's just sometimes just when you're distanced from something for so long, like, so from the Blasty logo, people who maybe did, and Andy mentioned this too, is that at that time people might not have liked that logo, but just for nostalgic purposes, I think maybe even with Iginla's retirement, all these images of him wearing that jersey kind of came back out, and maybe people were like, oh, like that, they kind of associate that with him. Like, yeah, like I don't know. I feel like I'm not the best person to answer this question.
Well, and I guess, like, okay, the Blasty parts that were dark were the Flames did almost move. That is a fact. The team was terrible. They went through a number of different coaches, including Don Hay, Greg Gilbert, a few other, Guy Charon. But that was Pierre Pagé. That was sort of expected. They had a long playoff loss, but they've had other playoff droughts since then. But the worst trade in Flames history is not in that jersey, because that was the Doug Gilmour to Toronto trade. So that happened before. But I also think that, like, the Blasty, I think you can relate a little bit more to Jerome Iginla. Like, I just don't think the Orca brings back the best memories of the Canucks.
I think it's just depending on what your so, like, with me, when I think of the Canucks now that I spend more time with a Canucks fan and spending more and just like now I think of the Orca. But when I was younger, I would have definitely thought of the skate jersey, because when I was growing up in BC, that is the jersey that the Canucks had. So that is something that I remember them having. So I think it depends on the person. Like, I think, but your argument was that you didn't think that the Orca was associated with the team.
I don't think it is. Like, I just don't. I think
I guess I don't know why. Also, by the way, I wanted to say that just in this time that we've been sitting and talking about this, I went into the Flames Discord and was just like, I just need a quick opinion. When I say Canucks, what do you guys think of it? And I said the skate, the Orca, or the stick and rink, and they all said the Orca.
Well, what do we?
They all say the Orca.
The whole thing about it for me is like, yes, I get it. The 94 team is so well beloved in the Vancouver city and within the Canucks fan base, because they came kind of out of nowhere after being expected to go deep for 2-3 years before that. They came in as the underdog into the Flames series in 94. And then they went on this run. And you had Pavel Bure, Trevor Linden, Kirk McLean, Gino Ojic. You have all these like absolute like cult hero figures and legends in Canucks lore on that team. And people just always associate the skate logo with that. When it comes to the Orca, yes, it's a much more convoluted history, but it's still part of 2011 with the Sedins. When you think of the Sedins, you're thinking of the Orca logo. When you think of Matthias Ohlund, Ed Jovanovski, Marcus Naslund, Todd Bertuzzi, the Orca logo.
I got an answer just like that. It literally says, I feel that it's showing through because of the peak of the Canucks and the Flames rivalry is the Orca jersey. Because you think of the Sedins, Naslund, Jovanovski, Bertuzzi, Kessler, Luongo, Burrows.
Mm-hmm. Luongo wore that navy one with with that Orca color scheme. Naslund did, Jovanovski did, Olin did, Bertuzzi did, despite his unfortunate fallout. But he was one of the most dominant power forwards in the game. Like at his peak, I think I'd love to see the era adjusted numbers for Bertuzzi at his peak against, say, Lindros and Neely and all those top end power forwards.
I will say, I'll hot take this, and people will dislike me out east. Bertuzzi was better than Lindros. I will say that. I want to see the era adjusted numbers. I think it's so tough because Bertuzzi was in the played his top end in the dead peak of the dead puck era. So I really want to see those numbers. I'll do some research, find it. I will get someone on to talk about it. Like I now that I get into it, I want to talk. I want to dive into that and see where he lies in terms of power forwards. Although the top end power forwards that we always bring up, like I said, the Cam Neelys, the Eric Lindroses, where does he compare to them? And then then like I said, a lot of the greats wore the Orca. A lot of the greats were in the blue and green. A lot of the greats were in that ugly maroon navy blue thing. But it's still there. It's still part of the history that you have to it's retro. What they did. Maybe it's not the era that you wanted, but it's still part of the history that you need to talk about. And that Morrison, Bertuzzi, Naslund line for a 2-3 year stretch was untouchable. It wasn't arguably, they were the best line in hockey. And you can say it was like Naslund, Bertuzzi, and whoever they threw in there. Don't
don't underestimate BMO. Don't underestimate Brendan Morrison on what he brought to that line. He was the defensive conscience. You need that right chemistry, and he brought that. He was the Alex Burrows to those two players.
Yeah, I guess for me maybe I'm not a pure pardon me, but I'm not. I didn't grow up here. I didn't grow up absorbing everything Vancouver, so that's how I feel, and maybe others look at it very differently. But I guess I'm more V stick and rink for me feels more Vancouver. That's just the way I
And as Heidi said, it was I think I look at it in a lot more pragmatic way in terms of, okay, so they decided to go with the 2000 and was it 04 or 1? I can't remember off the top of my head right now, and I apologize. With that gradient jersey, and what they did with that idea, I think was great. I think it really hit the nail on the head of what a reverse retro in my mind should be. And that's why I'm like, it just doesn't. That's why ones like Detroit don't feel like anything to me. Islanders don't feel like anything to me. The Islanders, like, I looked at it and I found that old the old fisherman logo with the jersey, and the jersey is the design of the jersey is so underrated in my opinion. You look at the lines and the all that at the bottom of the jersey, and you compare it to Phoenix's, and Phoenix has like the desert at the bottom. They had this like what looked like waves, and it was really nice. I think if you took that, change the blue to match more of the navy blue that they have now, stick the regular Islanders logo on it, it's fantastic. You're playing back to that jersey. You're keeping the old logo. You're not throwing the fisherman logo on there, which Lou would have hated, and you're not changing things up so much. I get it. I get the love for the skate logo is huge, and I like it. I think it's a great alternative. I don't think it should be considered something that I really like blue and green as a color scheme for Vancouver, and I think they should stick with it. I like the Orca because I understand the other part of the Orca story is that when it came in, it felt corporate. It felt too corporate.
Yeah, that was it.
And that's in a very in Vancouver where it's very hipstery, very granola at times, very much anti-establishment in other parts. It comes like that. It's so hard to get over that, and I get that. I still love it. I think it plays into what the Pacific Northwest is. It plays into the history, how the Orca is woven through the history of everything in Vancouver, from the good and the bad too, right? You got all the Orca woven through the lore and history and legends of the Haida people, as well as other Aboriginal people in the area. You've got how it's part of tourism, whale watching. Vancouver Aquarium was one of the first aquariums to have an orca in captivity. We all know that that's not a good thing anymore, but it was part of the history, and and all that. So it to me, it does feel Vancouver, and the idea that it's a horrible jersey or it's not a good jersey because it's not the retro era that you wanted, I think is a flawed thought process.
But when I was looking at it, I mean, there will be Toronto Maple Leaf fans that will argue that same thing about their logo, right? Like, but when I was looking at these jerseys, I had to look at the whole color scheme and the logo. Like, I like the color, but I don't like the logo for the Leafs. Throws me off, and I think it's the same thing with the Canucks. I think it just would have looked better stick and rink.
Well, I agree that it should be better. It would look better with stick and rink, but I get prickly at the point where you say that it's not it's not like the Orca's not Vancouver and not Canuck enough.
Well, you mentioned the corporate part, and I think that has a lot to do with it. I mean, again, here's another thing that another trigger moment is the, like, to me, I know that yes, Henrik and Daniel wore the Orca, and I'll acknowledge that, and Luongo wore the Orca, but one of the best moments when I've lived here, as living here in Vancouver, one of the highlights that I will always remember is when Henrik and Daniel retired. That game was one of the few times in this city since I've lived here. And by the way, this isn't my fault. Don't you be blaming me for the Canucks struggles. That Henrik and Daniel, I just felt like this city came alive for hockey since I've been here. I haven't had the chance, unfortunately, to experience this city at its peak. There was the playoff run in the summer, but that was, unfortunately, for obvious reasons, is muted, right? So that's the other, I don't know if I'm making a lot of sense. I'm kind of to be fair, I'm an outsider though, right? I'm an outsider Canuck observe fan.
Yeah, I'm a Canucks fan who grew up in Calgary, but spent a lot of time in around Christmas time and other times in Vancouver. And when I really started to pay attention to the Canucks, it was, and really understand the game and all that, was once they had the Orca. I look back at what they have now, what the skate and the black and red and yellow color scheme. It's sharp. It does look sharp. I really do like it as a third jersey option. But I don't know. Like I said, I just get prickly when you say it's not the Orca is not Canuck enough. And I think, again, it's just there's people out there that have this idea in their mind that anything other than the skate logo is bad. And that's part of what the struggle with Vancouver Canucks fandom is right now, is that there is a very strong vocal contingent that anything other than the skate logo is bad. And I think it's unfortunate, because I love the blue and green. And I think it works well with the Orca logo and the newly sort of revamped stick and rink with the white in the middle. I really like. I think that really works well and pops off of the blue. And I really hope that the Vancouver Canucks are able to just hold this out and wait for this to calm down. But they do need to bring back the skate logo as a third jersey.
See,
or a fourth jersey.
I saw fans not liking the Orca, but I didn't like it. I felt it was divided by not the typical Canucks Twitter, we hate each other for now, yelling. I actually thought this was more mature.
We're growing up. Oh my gosh. But yeah, I honestly would love to see that the gradient jersey become the actual quote unquote third jersey. Replace that other one. Because it's the same thing as it looks okay. I don't have anything good or really bad to say about that third jersey that the Canucks have. It looks better in person than it does in pictures, and it looks better on the ice. That's the other thing. Wait till we see these jerseys on the ice before we really understand what they look like. And that's when you're going to understand why Detroit's jersey is bad, Kevin.
It'll look better than you think. You'll be like, wow, Kevin's right. Look better.
I can't see it. Blends into the ice. But I would love to see them do that, because then replace it with the stick and rink. So then you have you've got a logo from every era of Canucks history. You look back at how the Aquilinis have really tried to focus in on the blue and green. So when they had Smeal, they changed Smeal's jersey and Naslin's and Bertuzzi's all to match that blue and green, even though they never wore them. And then this past year, in the 50th year, they embraced the colors. And that, I think that's the next step for Canucks jerseys, is to embrace the colors. Have a skate jersey that they wear a few times every year. Have a stick and rink jersey that they wear a few times every year, and have your standard ones with the Orca logo. You're getting a little bit of everything, and I think that'd be fantastic. And then every once in a while, throw them for a loop and give them the flying V.
Is there anything else we want to talk about,
Heidi?
You guys lost me in your debate. As I said, I all of a sudden had this idea, but I don't want to bring it up because it would just make this podcast go longer.
Well, tell us what it is, and maybe we can.
I had an idea of this, the gradient jersey, but it has a all white, like a white outline version of the skate logo.
So I think it was in '97 they brought in like this like weird diagonally cut one with red in it. I could definitely see something fun like that though. That would be cool. But like I said, I think it's time for the Canucks to embrace all their eras and make sure the NHL allows them to have like 4 jerseys, and then do it, because then you're appeasing everyone. The people who absolutely love the skate jersey get to see the skate jersey 3-4 times a year. Then you have one with the stick and rink, because that is part of what Canuck history is. First logo in franchise history. And then you have your standard ones with the Orca logo, which I will defend to this is the hill I'll die on. It's a good logo. It is a good logo, and it screams Vancouver.
Okay. For the next podcast, one of the things that I wanted to get into this with Andy, but we didn't have time. But I think a couple things I do want to talk about. Is the Canadian division going to change the strategy of some teams, i.e., like in terms of trades? Are you going to see, because you have a wide open window of finishing first, do you see a team maybe taking more of a chance to get on a run than they would normally? Like, how is this going to, like, I don't think we've talked about how this is going to, like, the Canadian division is going to change the strategy for a lot of teams, especially.
We'll have a good week to think about that for sure. Yeah.
For me, and I'll just leave this as a tease. It'll all come down to how all the teams start and what it looks like when they make that decision, like Andy said, on figuring out what the rest of the season looks like after they do the 1/3 fully within the division.
Yeah, because I know all these other divisions too. I think like it's, I guess the other quick thing is going to be interesting to see is we're going to have some new rivalry, like Colorado versus Vegas. That's going to be some appointment hockey to watch.
Well, Vegas gets to no, it's not Vegas. It will be but Colorado, Arizona get to reunite the Rocky Mountain rivalry.
Yes, that too. So there'll be new things about that. So Tyler would have came in, but Mr. Plow, his name again is Mr. Plow, had to. I don't know if I could play Homer on YouTube without getting a copyright strike, right? But he's out doing that. Devin's and Olds with strippers. And Chris wasn't available today.
Yeah.
But how do we follow everyone?
I am Beardy Canuck 03 on Twitter.
I am at Heidi Mazeballs all over the internet.
How do we follow Andy?
Andy's not on Twitter.
Okay. Don't follow Andy on Twitter. You won't find him. You can follow Tyler, TNOBLE, Devin, GordHow09. Please follow him. Also, he needs to tweet, though, too, to be fair. He doesn't tweet.
Tweet him to tell him to post more photos of Gordon Carl.
Yeah.
That is what I invite all of the listeners to do.
Yeah. Schneid's is SCHNINEIDZ. IMKVOLE, podcast_hockey. Subscribe on Facebook, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks, everyone. We